this one to go away. Save. This is the one.
Oh gosh, it's Ivy. No.
There we go. All right, so chapter 35 is the reproductive system. And so today we are going to be talking about males. And speaking in terms of their reproductive systems, they are pretty simple.
I don't think they would care.
So we're going to talk about the physiology, which there are two pieces of reproductive physiology for males. And then we'll talk about the anatomy. And then after we talk about the anatomy, we'll go back and we have a diagram to color and label. So that is our plan for today. The lab, we need to finish. So anytime that we have after we take notes, today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, you will have to work on the lab. The test is on Friday, and I'll talk about the test more after we take notes today. All right, so physiologically, how the male reproductive system or the function of the male reproductive system, like I said, it's pretty simple. The major function is spermatogenesis, the production of sperm.
Can you say that again?
Spermatogenesis. All sperm come from a stem cell in the testes. This stem cell is diploid. It has two sets of genetic material. So just like all of our other body cells, it is diploid. This stem cell then undergoes meiosis. To form haploid cells that will develop into sperm. Oh, Lordy. Off the top of my head, I don't know, but I can get back to you on that. So spermatogenesis, the formation of sperm, begins when a male reaches puberty. And continues continuously throughout their lives. I'm sorry? No, they do not have a menopause type thing. Death is the end of their sperm production.
That's a great menopause.
That wasn't a metaphor.
You said menopause.
Oh.
It's not a metaphor. Ew. Oh my goodness. What's so cute?
Goodness. Matilda.
Doesn't sperm production kind of die off?
It does lessen as they get older, but they're still continuously producing sperm, which is why you hear about like 80-year-old men becoming new fathers. All right. The other function of the male reproductive system is to produce testosterone. Testosterone is a hormone that helps with, it does a few different things. It helps with the maturation of primary male sex characteristics. It helps with the maturation of primary male sex characteristics. Yes. No, that's a secondary characteristic. We'll get to that. What we're talking about with primary male sex characteristics are characteristics that if you are genetically male, you have those characteristics, like the presence of testes, the presence of a penis. Those are primary sex characteristics. And so when a male reaches puberty, he starts producing testosterone, and this causes the development of he already has the testes, but they're going to further develop, they're going to mature. Same thing with the penis, under the direction of the testosterone. Now, another function of testosterone is to provide secondary male sex characteristics. Secondary male sex characteristics are those things that we associate with being male, but you don't have to have them to be male. So this is where the development of the Adam's apple comes in, and the deepening of the voice. Body hair, and facial hair. Thickening of the bones. So these are the things that we associate with being guy characteristics, but it doesn't necessarily, a man cannot have those characteristics. Fun fact, if you find yourself a hairy man, expect the hair on his head to fall out. Because if he has a hairy body, it means that he's producing a lot of testosterone, not necessarily a bad thing, but testosterone triggers the gene for male pattern baldness. So those characteristics, if you see those characteristics that he's producing a lot of testosterone, if he's got that gene, all the hair on his head's going to fall off. Or a lot of it will. Now, females produce some testosterone as well, but most of the time, the other hormones that we produce kind of counteract those effects, so we don't see those characteristics. But after menopause, we stop producing some of those hormones like estrogen, and so the testosterone, the effects of the testosterone can be shown. So you might see women after menopause kind of grow more facial hair. A nurse at my dermatologist's office, and it drives me crazy. I'm like, you work for a dermatologist, can't you have something done about this? And she has like a goatee. We used to have a teacher here, and she, after she went through menopause, copious stubble on her cheek and chins. Cheek and chins, that didn't sound right, but she did have multiple chins. But that's another story. Anyway, no, but she would come to school, and she'd go in this bathroom and shave her face. And a lot of times, and she put her makeup on after that, but a lot of times by the end of the day, she wore pretty thick makeup, and by the end of the day, you could see the stubble starting to poke through her makeup. I don't know. That's the question. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. But anyway, all right. All right, anatomy. So the first thing that we're going to do is follow the sperm.
That does not sound like a good idea.
So we're starting with where the sperm is produced until it's out of the body. And it's basically just a bunch of tubes. Okay, so we start in the testes. That's where those stem cells are that will undergo meiosis to form sperm. And if we were to look inside the testes, if we were to cut it in half and look inside, we would see that there's just a lot of convoluted tubules inside. And as the sperm pass through those tubules, they become more and more mature. Sitting on top of the testes, God bless you, is the epididymis. Once again, inside of the epididymis is just a series of coiled tubes. And as the sperm pass through, they're just becoming more mature. The ductus deferens, also known as the vas deferens, this is just a single tube leading from the epididymis. It extends over the bladder. We'll see this in the diagram here in a few minutes. And dumps its contents into the urethra. The urethra is the common passageway for urine and sperm, although never at the same time. The sperm are very sensitive, and they are sensitive to pH. They can't stand it. When it's too acidic, they get really sluggish. Well, urine is acidic. And so somewhere along the line here, we're going to have to clean out the urethra of any urine before the sperm pass through, because we don't want them to be sluggish. Matilda.
So what processes in the body prevent the mixing of urine and sperm?
Basically like valves. So you're not going to be able to urinate. Most of the time men cannot urinate when they have an erection because of the possibility of sperm coming. All right. So that's it. Now the sperm are out of the body. But the sperm needs some help. And so there are some accessory organs that make fluid to support the sperm. They make fluid to support the sperm. The combination of these fluids and the sperm is semen. All right. So the sperm doesn't pass through these organs. They're just contributing to the semen. God bless you. The seminal vesicles. The seminal vesicles produce a fluid that is high in fructose, which is fruit sugar, and high in vitamin C. It's high in fructose, which is fruit sugar, and high in vitamin C. I'm thinking like orange juice. This this fluid is to nourish the sperm while they're on their journey. The prostate. The prostate secretes a fluid that excites the sperm. We'll see tomorrow when we talk about the female reproductive tract that our reproductive tract is very hostile to sperm. And so they need to be very energetic before they encounter the hostility of the female reproductive tract. Bulbourethral glands, also known as Cowper's glands, but once again kind of trying to get away from using the person's name who discovered them. This bulbourethral gives us some information about what these glands do. Okay, it's it has a bulbous shape, as we'll see when we take a look at our diagram, and then it dumps its liquid into the urethra. What this liquid does is it cleanses the urethra of any remaining urine. Yes.
These glands only release this fluid when sexual stimulation.
Yes. Yes. Then we have a couple of pieces of external genitalia. The scrotum. The scrotum is a fleshy sac that houses the testes. It's a fleshy sac that houses the testes. I thought maybe you were going to make me repeat it just so these two would freak out again. So the testes hang outside of the body cavity. And once again, these sperm are sensitive. This time they're sensitive to temperature. Normal body temperature, which is around 98.6, right, is too warm for the sperm.
So then, fish have testicles, right?
No.
I need to know about the reproductive fact of tract of a fish.
Why?
I'm gonna stick with humans for right now. We can come back to that another time.
Can you teach me? What's your
That's what Google's for until then.
All right. So
Go to Google Scholar.
my goodness. So like I said though, they're sensitive to temperature, so they're in this sac hanging outside the body cavity where it's a few degrees cooler. But if it's too cold, the scrotum will shrivel up and bring the testes closer to the body to keep them warm. Perhaps this wasn't the best class to record.
I'm sorry. Like, this isn't a joke. I actually need you to repeat that.
So if the environment is too cold, the scrotum pulls the testes up towards the body to keep them warm.
Okay, thank you.
So they go outside of the body cavity because that's where it's cooler?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, and then the penis, which is the sperm depositor. And the penis, as we will see here shortly, is filled with erectile tissue. That tissue becomes firm when engorged with blood. And just for the record, there is no bone in the penis. And I bring that up before anybody asks about it because one of my seniors, when we did the reproductive system, on her test, she wrote that there was an extra bone in the penis.
Totally got that on her final.
She's like, it asked what the difference between a female body and a male body was. So.
Yeah, based on the skeletal structure. And that's what she told me. Yep.
Yeah. For birthing, wider and shorter than and the male bones are right there.
Go on to dashboard and bring up your repro mail.
What? I believe. Wait, that's on dashboard.
That's on dashboard.
Okay.
This is on dashboard. So go ahead and bring it up.
Oh man, looking at these cross sections is
I want to know. I don't know if I want to hear about the joke.
Okay, the first thing
I don't want to hear. Just keeps going.
the first thing we're gonna do is label the leader lines. So on the far right side, we'll start at the top. That's the seminal vesicle. And the line underneath that, we're not going to label, so I'm just going to put an X on there. You don't even know what that is. Underneath the rectum, then, is the bulbourethral gland. No. So notice it's a little bulb shape. So sitting on top of the testes So then we have the surrounding the testes. What's surrounding the testes? Scrotum. I'll just continue on clockwise. So this bottom one is pointing to the foreskin, which is called the prepuce. And the one right above that, once again, we're not going to label that one. Now here's the next one up is the tube running down the length of the penis. What would that be? Here we have the vas deferens. God bless you. Notice that it's coming from the epididymis, coming up over the bladder, and then it comes down where it joins with the urethra. And it's in the prostate when it does that. Now let's go here and do some coloring. So spongy tissue that is engorged with blood during erection. So this is that erectile tissue I was just talking about. Make mine blue. And it is all of this tissue. It has like the speckles or lines in it. And it extends back over here on the other side of the vas deferens. Portion of the duct system that also serves the urinary system, what would that be? Urethra. And so I'm going to pick up the urethra in the prostate and trace it down. It's part of the body. Okay. Structure that provides the ideal temperature conditions for sperm formation. What would that be? Scrotum. Structure removed during circumcision. What's removed during circumcision? What? The prepuce, exactly, the foreskin. Most men anymore are circumcised because where the foreskin is, there can get bacteria inside and cause inflammation. So it's a health thing. Gland whose secretion contains sugar. Which one is that? Yeah, the seminal vesicle. structure cut or cauterize during a vasectomy? What's the point of a vasectomy? To stop them from having children. And so what we're going to do is we're going to cut the vas deferens so that the sperm can't make it from the testes out of the body. And I'm just going to color that little part of it because they don't take out the whole vas deferens. They just cut. In theory. There he is. We are done with the men for now. And we're done with notes for today.
There's no.
What's the matter? Got about 8 minutes.
Oh, yeah.